Hello everyone, this is part 17 of What If Naruto Was in Rosario Vampire, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. She slowly opened her eyes. It took her a moment to orient herself. A rare exhaustion and sense of weakness permeated her body. Why do I feel so weak? In a flash the memory came back to her, him lying in a pool of his own blood, her fang marks still fresh on his en. Naruto. She suddenly sat up in her small bed and looked about. She was in the infirmary again. And as before, she had woken up in the darkness. There was a folding chair next to her bed. It was empty. He wasn't there, she was alone. Tossing aside the blankets, she got up. As soon as she did, her legs shook and threatened to buckle. Her entire body seemed fragile and cried out for rest. She ignored the way her knees seemed to wobble and moved shakily towards the door. She needed to find out what had happened. She stumbled forward, only to feel her legs begin to give out as she reached the door. The door opened, and light from the hallway flooded into her face. A familiar figure was standing there staring at her. Mocha-chan. Naruto's arms grabbed hold of her before her legs could collapse. He pulled her close and held her tight against him. You're awake. Are you all right? How do you feel? She shut her eyes and pressed her face against the side of his. I feel weak, but now that I know you are alive, everything is fine. She breathed in his scent. It was him, it was definitely him, but there was something just a little different. There was something just a little off. She didn't care though, he was alive and he was here, that was enough for her. Are you all right, Naruto? Have you healed? I'm fine, Mocha-chan, he whispered softly in her ear. Thanks to you. I am glad. Without thinking she nuzzled his en. Even with the slight difference, he still smelled wonderful and she suddenly realized she was starved. Your scent, it is. No, I must not. Though she longed for the taste of his sweet blood, her memory of his near-fatal wound was still fresh. She did not want to injure him. Naruto seemed to sense the internal struggle and gently pressed the back of her head and bared his end to her. It's all right, Mocha-chan, he gently encouraged. Go ahead and drink. But, she wanted to argue, but her desire to taste his blood was overwhelming. It's all right, I really have healed completely. It's been 7 days, the S you made for me has left you exhausted. He smiled at her reassuringly. If my blood will help you, then please take it. She thought to argue, but with his words she gave into her own hunger and bit down on him. She felt new strength flow into her with the familiar warmth of his blood. It was sweet, delicious, and she drank happily. But as with his scent, there was something just a little bit different. She could taste just the slightest bit of bitterness hidden beneath the sweet. It was not enough to take away her pleasure or ruin the taste, but it was there. She drank her fill and let go of him. She then looked into his eyes. Thank you, Naruto. No, thank you, Mocha-chan. I wouldn't even be here now if you hadn't saved me. He leaned in just a bit and kissed her. She closed her eyes and felt her heart begin to pound. Everything is all right now. Wrapping her arms around his end, she pressed his mouth down onto her greedy lips. Her hips began to slowly grind against him. She needed him. She needed to feel his body inside of hers. She hungered for his touch as she had for his blood. Take me, she panted. Her hands began to unbutton his shirt. Here, now, on the floor or on the bed, I do not care which. She thrilled at the feel of his muscled chest beneath her fingertips. We're going to get caught. Even as he said that, he began moving her towards the small bed. He wanted her every bit as much as she did him. That was the end of any kind of resistance, as they both gave into their needs to express the love they shared. XXXXXXXXXX. 3 days ago, he was sitting by her side watching her sleep. The doctor had assured him that she would make a full recovery. She merely needed to sleep until she restored her strength. He had been asked to leave and told he would be contacted the moment she woke up. His reply had been to go into three-tail mode and tell the doctor and the nursing staff that he was staying until she woke up. He had actually recovered very quickly. Mocha's blood had repaired his wound and salized him. Hakato's attack with the rosary had worn off after only a few hours and he had regained access to the Kyuubi's power. Once that happened, he enjoyed a swift and full recovery. He wanted to use his power to heal her but was ignorant of medical jutsus. The other possibility he didn't dare try as he was not sure what the effect might be on a vampire. The door to Mocha's room opened and the headmaster walked in. From his gait it seemed he was fully recovered. "How are you doing this morning, Naruto?" "Fine," he said wearily. "Is there something I can do for you?" The headmaster shook his head. "Actually, I am here to fulfill our bargain. Antithesis is said and thanks to your actions a great many lives were undoubtedly saved." He held out a silver rosary with a blue gem in its center. "As we agreed, so long as you wear this over your chest, the seal placed there will be ineffective. If any should try and activate it, you will feel a very slight pressure. That way, if you wish, you can act as though it was still in effect. Jiraiya or anyone else inspecting it will assume it to be still functioning." "Thanks, that might actually be useful." He took the rosary from him. "If you wish, I could also fully suppress the other seal as well." Naruto looked at him in surprise. "You can do that easily." Hakato was an amateur, but he was able to fully seal the demon within you, if only temporarily. "I could make the effect permanent. You would no longer have access to the demon's power, but the demon would no longer have any influence on your mind or personality." It was an offer he'd never expected. "I wish I could have met you 8 years ago." He slowly shook his head. "I have powerful enemies looking for me and my furry pal. I doubt I could survive without the Kyuubi's power. Besides, I'll need it to fulfill my dream." The headmaster seemed to look at him with understanding and a little sadness. "You know, I had great hopes for Hakato once. He was a brilliant student and had tremendous potential. Until his hatred poisoned him. Tell me, Naruto, is your dream anything like his was?" Naruto looked at the man coldly. "With respect, my dream does not involve this academy or the world of monsters, so it's really none of your business." "I see," the headmaster sighed. "It saddens me to hear that, Naruto, but you are right, it is none of my concern. Listen, since I've helped you, could I ask for a favor?" "What do you want?" "Could you keep my future progress a secret? It would help me out if you would stop reporting to the Hokage." To Naruto's disappointment, the headmaster shook his head. "I gave my word to your Hokage and I must honor it, as I honored our agreement." "I see, I guess it was too much to hope for that you would want to help me. I am in your debt for what you have done for this academy and all its students, but I will not go back on my word. XXXXXXXXXXX. When the doctor arrived for his morning rounds, he was relieved and pleased to see Mocha awake and alert. He was also slightly suspicious to see Naruto adjusting his clothing with a slightly panicked look on his face. Mocha meanwhile had looked oddly amused. "Well, you seem to have fully recovered, you are free to go." "Great." Naruto wasted no time lifting her up out of her bed. "I'll take her home then." But, before the doctor could say anything else, the two of them were gone in a swirl of wind and leaves. The doctor was left to simply shake his head. "Young love," he said in an amused voice. XXXXXXXXXXX. When they materialized in her bedroom, Naruto had been just about to lay her down on the bed when Mocha held out a hand, stopping him. "Just a moment, Naruto, please set me on my feet." "Huh, but don't you want to get back to it?" he said, pleading. She wore a slight grin. "There is something we must resolve first, please put me down." Though disappointed, he did just as she asked. "What's going on?" "There is something that must be dealt with now." From out of her pocket she took out her rosary. For all of this time the other Mocha has been consumed with sorrow. Now that you have admitted your love for us again, it is time for you to speak to her. "I understand," he nodded. "You're right, I do need to talk to her. Please be gentle." Mocha placed the rosary back on its chain. Her power leached away and her form became that of the younger Mocha. Unconscious, Naruto caught her and carefully held her until she opened her green eyes to look up at him. "Hey," he smiled at her. Her reaction caught him off guard. She pulled out of his grasp and turned her back to him. "Naruto-kun, I am glad you are all right." He was a little surprised and disappointed. He knew she was aware of everything the other Mocha knew. After what had happened, he'd expected her to grab hold of him and shower him with affection. "Aren't you happy to see me?" She turned around and looked at him in surprise. "Of course I am. How can you even ask that?" "Well, You aren't exactly acting like it. She looked down and felt ashamed. Do you still hate looking at me? She asked in a small voice. The last time I was with you, you said you couldn't talk to me, you said when you looked at me you saw me N with Jin. His answer was to put his arms around her and pull her to him. Please forgive me Mocha-chan, he said to her in a caring voice. Please forgive me for being so cruel to you. Even though I knew it wasn't your choice I still blamed you. Even though I was hurting I should never have said something so awful. He squeezed her tight. I was hurt, and maybe I did hate you. He could feel her try to pull away but he held on to her. But I was a fool. I realize now that once I found out the truth I shouldn't have taken my own pain out on you. Everything that happened before is forgiven. I love you with all of my heart Mocha-chan. And I beg you to forgive me for hurting you. She looked up into his face, her eyes radiating hope. Do you really mean that Naruto-kun? I do, every word of it. She kissed him, and with her kiss she granted him absolution from all his sins. I forgive you, she pressed herself against him. All I want is to be with you. Let's never ever be apart again. Whatever happens I want to be at your side. In that case, will you marry me? She looked at him in shock. Yes, 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 yes I'll marry you. A rapturous kiss sealed the promise between them. I love you Mocha-chan, and I swear to you we will never be apart again. That is my promise of a lifetime. He began kissing her and soon they were in her bed making love. Their hearts and souls joined together as one. Neither of them would ever be alone again. Do you want to see a magic trick? Lying in bed beside him she looked over and smiled. Have you learned a new jutsu you want to show me? No, it's not a jutsu. It's something amazing I only discovered a couple days ago. Now slightly curious she nodded to him. Go ahead. He grinned. Actually I think I'll show you later, build up the suspense. I promise you'll be amazed. He glanced at the clock on her nightstand. You want to get something to eat? She reached out and lovingly stroked the side of his N. No thanks, but maybe later. Actually I was thinking we should go meet the girls for lunch. Don't wanna, she giggled and playfully ran her hands over his chest. It's so comfy and warm right here. While you were asleep all of the girls visited you, even Kurumu. At the mention of the succubus Mocha frowned at him. You sure she was visiting me? Maybe it was just an excuse for her to see you. No, he said firmly. She was worried about you just like Yukari and Mizore were. He took a deep breath. I was sort of hoping all 5 of us could have lunch together. Mocha looked unhappy, but at least did not immediately reject the idea. Why do you want her to sit with us? Because she fought and put herself on the line to help us. She didn't have to do that, but she did. And I really think she is honestly sorry about what she did to you. So you want me to forgive her? I'd like it if we could all be friends again. Mocha looked at him for a while before finally answering him in a low voice. I won't forgive her, and I won't ever be friends with her, but because you ask it I'll agree to tolerate her. So she can sit with us if you want. Thank you Mocha-chan, he said appreciatively. Maybe we can even all do something during the cultural festival tomorrow. The festival is tomorrow. Naruto nodded. You've been asleep for a week, and before that the other Mocha had stopped going to class so I guess it sort of snuck up on you. But yeah, tomorrow is the start of the 3-day festival. She reached out and took a hold of his hand. You'll accompany me right Naruto? I've always had to be alone on festival nights, and I've always wanted a companion to share everything with. So you'll be with me during the whole festival right? She sounded worried. Smiling he leaned over to reassure her with a light kiss. Of course I will, you will never be alone again Mocha-chan. XXXXXXXXXX. Mocha, I missed you. A happy Yukari glomped onto her chest, getting a firm hold on her BS. You're so much nicer than the other Mocha was. Iyaaa. Mocha cried out and began flailing her arms about as Yukari laughed and continued to hold on. Naruto shook his head and consoled himself with the thought that Yukari's arms would get tired, eventually. He looked about the courtyard. Mizore. Yes. She popped her head out from behind a metal pole. Would you like to sit with us for lunch? No. I'm fine where I am. Before she could pop back behind the pole he got a hold of her hand. Please Mizore-chan. You're a friend and a very precious person to me. I'd like you to sit with us. Mocha and I also have some big news. Mizore glanced to where Mocha was still trying to shake Yukari loose. Since the pink-haired Mocha is back, I guess that means that you two have fixed things and are a couple again. Well, that's part of it, but there's more. Will you sit with us? She shyly looked down to where his hand was holding hers. Oh, okay, she said bashfully. She let him lead her by the hand over to the table. Eventually Yukari released her death grip and she and Mocha joined him at the table. Yahoo! Who is the seest girl in the academy? You are. Kurumu's fanboys enthusiastically cried out. She was leading her followers past their table, careful not to look at them. Kurumu. Naruto spoke in a normal voice. She immediately halted and turned to him, giving him all of her attention. Yes, Naruto-kun. Do you want to join us? Kurumu's eyes flashed from Naruto over to Mocha, who was right next to him. Mocha gave the blue-haired girl the curtest of nods. It's fine. Kurumu smiled happily and quickly came over to their table. I'd love to. Seeing this sudden and dramatic change of heart, her many devotees cried out in anguish and some even made threats. Kurumu rounded on them and they took a collective step back. I'm sorry, but I can't eat with you anymore. And please don't cause Naruto any trouble. If he has to KO all of you, it might be a problem for him. The sullen crowd slowly dispersed as she sat down at the table. They had all visited Mocha in the infirmary and spoken to Naruto. They all knew what had happened, and since the younger Mocha was present, they all guessed it meant they were a couple again. But even knowing all this, the three girls were all taken by surprise when Naruto announced that he and Mocha were engaged to be married. The three girls took the news in very different ways. Yukari was jumping for joy and asking them if she could be a bridesmaid. Mizore sat there quietly and absorbed the information that Naruto was definitely out of her reach. She congratulated the couple and quietly continued to eat. Kurumu stared at them and tried to hold back her tears. She'd been happy when Naruto had asked her to join them. It was proof that he had finally forgiven her. And even though it was obvious that he was with Mocha again, she still had some hope for the future. But now she knew that there was no future with him. He belonged to Mocha. Congratulations, Kurumu said and tried to mean it. Even if she had lost him, she wanted Naruto to be happy. Thank you, Kurumu-chan, and I want you to know that I want us to remain friends. Naruto told her with the utmost kindness. I'm sure you'll find someone who will be a much better match for you. She smiled at him and did not reply. Say, Naruto, Mizore said in an ordinary tone. Do you think I could ask a favor of you tomorrow? Sure. What? My mother is visiting and she sort of has the impression I have a boyfriend. Do you think you could spend the day with me pretending to be my boyfriend? He stared at her. You want me to tell your mom that I'm your boyfriend? That's right, would you mind? My mom worries about me a lot and believing I have someone would help set her mind at ease. It would mean a lot to me if you could just pretend for one day. Please. Well, no, absolutely not, Mocha snapped. She looked at Mizore angrily. He just told you that he's my fiancé. How can you ask him to be your boyfriend? I'm only asking him to pretend to be my boyfriend for just one day. My mother will only be here tomorrow. And it would mean so much to me to be able to show her I have someone to care for me. Not all of us are as lucky as you are, Mocha. It's only for one day, is it really asking so much? Mocha looked very unhappy. But Naruto-kun has already promised to spend the whole festival with me. He looked over to Mocha and smiled. It's okay. Mocha-chan, I can do both. How? Mocha asked. Are you going to spend the day running around between us? He smiled and ran through some hand signs. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. A perfect copy appeared standing right behind Mizore. It's really not a problem. The real me will stay with you while my clones can stay with Mizore and her mom. See, Mizore pointed out. So you don't mind, do you? Mocha was still frowning. Well, I guess so long as the real Naruto is with me it would be all right. Good, Mizore said. And by the way, he may have to kiss me. What? Mocha said. Who said anything about him kissing you? Mocha demanded. I thought it was implied, Mizore said. I mean, boyfriends do kiss the girlfriends, and my mom might want to see it or she won't really believe he's my boyfriend. Kurumu coughed and brought everyone's attention over to her. I sort of need the same favor. My mom is coming here tomorrow too, and I sort of told her I had someone. You don't need Naruto-kun for this. You can pick any other boy at this school. Mocha said coolly. Hey, about that, I sort of told my mom that Naruto was mine and I really described him to her in detail. Why would you do that? Mocha demanded. He was never yours to begin with and until just recently he didn't want anything to do with you. Kurumu looked embarrassed. I sort of left those details out. Oh, I want my very own Naruto too. Yukari said. My parents are coming to visit and I'd love for them to get to know the man who is going to be one of my future lovers. Mocha shut her eyes and rubbed her temples. She had sort of assumed that since Naruto was her fiancé that meant she wouldn't have to share him. XXXXXXXXXX. That night Naruto was in her room staring down at a bowl of partially burnt ramen. Across from him Mocha was looking unhappy and annoyed. How did I agree to this? It's not that big a deal really, I'll just be doing some favors for our friends. I mean they did all fight for us, so I think we owe them. Naruto tried to pretend he was enjoying his meal. I'll only be pretending after all, it's not like it will mean anything. Does Kurumu know that? He smiled at her. If she doesn't I'll remind her. You're the only one I love Mocha-chan and you're the one I'm going to always be with. I care about the other girls, and they are important to me, but I don't love them. She nodded. I know Naruto-kun, and you know I trust you. But still, she shook her head. How did I let Mizore talk me into saying it was okay to kiss? XXXXXXXXXX. After spending the night with her he shunshined away early the next morning so that he could get ready and meet everyone as they had planned. For these 3 days the entire academy was transformed into a festival ground. All classes were cancelled as the different classes manned the various stands both inside and outside the building. There were cafes serving basic food and drink, games of chance, rides, and bands playing music for dancing. The festivities would begin at 10 in the morning and continue until 10 at night. Buses were returning alumni back to the academy from various locals in the human and monster worlds. The rules of the academy were still in effect and so both the students and alumni appeared in their human forms to enjoy the festivities. Since Naruto and Mocha were members of the police committee they were not required to work at any of the stands. Mizore, Kurumu, and Yukari were all scheduled to work the second day of the festival, so for today everyone was free to enjoy themselves. Naruto went outside a little before 10. The stands were already manned and open and the buses were starting to arrive to deposit the alumni who would be customers. The 4 girls were already waiting for him. Yukari, Mizore, and Kurumu were all dressed in the usual outfits. Mocha had on a dark blue yukata with the image of stars designed into it. He looked at her and smiled. That looks really good on you. She felt her face heat at his simple compliment. Thank you Naruto-kun. She came to his side and put her arm through his. I am really looking forward to this. Kurumu looked at the two of them together and felt an ache in her heart. Yahoo, she said in an excited voice. So let's have you make us our dates. Sure. He performed the hand signs. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. 3 identical clones came into being beside each girl. Yahoo. Kurumu grabbed onto her Naruto's arm pressing her chest against it. Come on. Let's go meet my mom. Mizore shyly put her arm through his and then rested her head on his shoulder. Even though she knew it was only pretend, she was going to enjoy it. She led him towards the academy at a slow pace, happy just to be at his side. Yukari grabbed his hand and pulled him along. You're buying me candy. The original Naruto and Mocha remained in front of the boys' dorm and watched them go. Even though they're clones, and even though I said it was okay, I still don't like seeing you with other women. Mocha stated, looking a bit depressed. Seeing that Naruto leaned over and whispered something in her ear. Her face went red. Naruto. Seeing her embarrassed reaction he laughed. That is something I will only ever do with you so don't be jealous. He gave her a quick kiss. You are my one and only Mocha-chan. Feeling better she smiled and got them going down the road. Come on Naruto-kun, I want to do some goldfish scooping. Goldfish scooping. It was one of those silly games you only found at a festival. Well I never tried it before, she finally had someone to be with. She was eager to really enjoy the festival, and to spend every minute of it with her precious boy. XXXXXXXXXX. There she is. Kurumu cried out happily. Mama. The Naruto who was with her knew immediately who it was Kurumu meant. A small crowd of admirers parted to reveal a stunningly beautiful woman with long blue hair, a cute short dress, a coat, and a purse. Her dress revealed not only some amazing legs but BS that were even more ample and magnificent than Kurumu's. Kurumu eagerly brought Naruto up to meet her. Mama, this is Naruto. Naruto, this is my mom Kurono Aja. Her mother eyed him speculatively for just a moment and then gave him a pleased smile. It's very nice to finally meet you, Naruto. I have been wanting to meet my daughter's fiancé since she told me about you. Fiancé. He looked over at Kurumu. She brought her hands together as though in prayer and mouthed the word, please. He sighed. It's just for this one day. He gave Kurumu's mother a deep and respectful bow. I am very pleased to meet you as well, Aja-san. Kurumu's mother laughed. How cute. There's no need to be so formal. She grabbed his head and buried his face into her buxom chest. Just call me Carson, after all you and my little girl will be getting married before too long. Unbelievable. She's even softer than Kurumu. But I can't believe she wants me to call her, Mom. After she released him, Aja smiled down and whispered to him. You know, I'm very happy that my little girl has found someone so experienced and with such stamina in the bedroom. From what she tells me, you're quite the lover. Naruto's face turned as red as a tomato as he thought he was going to choke. Anyway, let's all go explore the festival. She wrapped herself around one of his arms, burying it in her soft bosom. Yahoo! This will be a lot fun. Kurumu eagerly grabbed onto his other arm, expertly pressing her chest against it. So with two gorgeous and full-chested women hanging onto him, he headed into the academy. XXXXXXXXXX. What are we doing here? We're here to meet my mom. Mizore replied calmly. They were standing all alone in the middle of some of the woods near where the buses were dropping people off. Are you sure this is the right spot? There's no one anywhere near this place. Hello, mother, Mizore said. And sure enough, a woman popped out from behind a tree not 10 yards away. Hello, daughter. She was a lovely and elegant woman with the same purple hair and delicate pale skin Mizore had. Her hair was up and she was dressed in a stylish dark gray kimono. She shyly approached them and gave Naruto a graceful bow. Nice to meet you. I am Mizore's mother, Surara. You must be Naruto. My daughter speaks of you often. Naruto was relieved to see that Mizore's mother was such a gentle and cultured woman. He also found it kind of charming that she had a lollipop in her mouth just like Mizore always did. He gave her a low bow. I am very pleased to meet you, Surara-san. She nodded slightly. Please, just call me Surara. He was about to say something when Mizore jumped in front of him. Before he could ask, she got up on her toes and planted a soft kiss on his lips. To say he was caught off guard wouldn't have covered it. He'd have expected something this brazen from Kurumu, but not from shy little Mizore. What was that? He whispered to her. Sorry, she put her lollipop back in her mouth. Just wanted my mom to see how in love I am with you. She spoke in a normal voice. She looked at her mom as she again took a hold of his arm and put her head on his shoulder. Please forgive me, mother, for my display. Naruto is very shy in public, and since we are alone right now. Surara smiled demurely and nodded. That's all right. A young couple should be affectionate. So when do you two intend to marry? Marry? It's still way too early for that, don't you think? A slight frown tugged down the edges of Surara's lips. But you two are dating. Are you the sort of man who would be with a girl and not at least consider marriage? Without warning, the air around her solidified into jagged shards of ice. They grew and came to a sudden halt only inches from his tea. Instinctively, Naruto created fire in his hands and melted the ice. Not meaning to, he sent Surara a hard look. Please don't do that again, he warned her. I don't like people threatening me. She was clearly surprised. My apologies, I have a bad habit of making sharp objects out of ice whenever I get emotional. I did not mean it as a threat. In that case, it's all right, he said. Surara looked over at her daughter. You never mentioned he was a fire user. Naruto is a man of many different talents, Mizore replied. I see. Surara smiled again. A fire user in love with a snow girl, well, that's very romantic. Shall we go take a look at the festival? XXXXXXXXXX. Yukari had a huge candy sucker in one hand and was leading Naruto with the other. She led him up to a woman dressed in a black cloak with a pointy hat like Yukari's and to a man with glasses and a tweed sweater. Naruto, though the guy looked like a professor. The woman had a wand and the man held what looked like a spell book. Mom, Dad, this is Naruto. He's the one I gave that book to. He's also the one who gave me my very first adult kiss, and I plan to share his bed as soon as I get a little older. XXXXXXXXXX. They were walking along in the middle of a crowd when Naruto stopped and seemed to wince. Is something wrong, Naruto-kun? I just got the memories from one of my clones. Yukari's mom smacked him over the head with her wand. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. A new clone appeared. The clone turned to the original. Do I have to? Naruto was sympathetic but told him he did. I promised Yukari. With a look of resignation and doom, the clone headed off. How are the other clones doing? Mocha asked. I have no idea. I don't get their memories until they're dispelled. Naruto and Mocha continued to slowly explore all the different stalls. About 15 minutes later, Mocha let out an eek and jumped about a bit. What? Naruto asked. Someone grabbed my backside just now. Naruto looked around, but there was no way to tell who in the vast crowd was the culprit. If I find out who did it, I'll beat the crap out of him. Come on, Mocha-chan, let's not let this ruin things. Let's go do some goldfish scooping. In the crowd, a tall bald man with tattoos watched the two of them head off. The girl was truly beautiful. He had come a long way to visit this festival and he was going to enjoy himself. And that meant he wanted a girl at least as beautiful as her. Her little boyfriend was unimportant. He'd get lost or get hurt. He began to trail after them, enjoying the hunt and waiting for his moment. XXXXXXXXXX. Oh boy, Naruto muttered. Mocha looked up from the goldfish scooping game. She was having a lot of fun and had forgotten the earlier unpleasantness. What is it? Yukari told her parents about me spending most of my nights with you, and how we're all going to share a bed one day. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. XXXXXXXXXX. After goldfish scooping, they had tried a few other simple games and then gotten some cotton candy. He came to a halt and sighed. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. His clone looked at him pleadingly. You have to. I know, the clone went with shoulders slumped. Yukari again. Mocha took a bite of cotton candy and let it melt in her mouth. Yeah, what was it this time? She brought up that time Kurumu visited me in my room. Ah. Mocha blushed a bit. She could still remember her shock at hearing Kurumu utter the words, tied up and helpless. Seeing her blush, he gave her a kiss. Nothing like that is going to happen with Kurumu today, especially not with her mom there. Of course, she relaxed. Not even Kurumu is going to try anything with her mom around. XXXXXXXXXX. So, would you like to show me just how scared you really are? Aja asked. Naruto looked at her. I'm sorry, but scared in what? Love making, of course. She took both his hands and pressed him against her magnificent BS. I'm curious to see if you really are as masterful as my daughter claims. Oh Kami, this is not happening. Gore. They feel amazing. He turned beet red and tried to choke out some sort of reply. Mom, what are you doing? Kurumu demanded. At least wait until we're somewhere private before you ask him something like that. That was it. Naruto immediately fainted. XXXXXXXXXX. Oh, Mocha said excitedly and changed where they were headed. Naruto-kun, win me a prize. She had always been envious of couples at a festival. She'd always wanted to have a boy win her something. The large stall had a vast herd of big stuffed plush toys hanging from their ceiling. In the middle of the stall, about 5 feet away, was a series of empty beer bottles. The student who was manning the stall smiled at them. He'd been the one to convince his homeroom to run a ring toss, and it was a huge success. His fellow students had been worried at the cost of getting so many toys. Fortunately, he'd found a vendor who would allow them to be returned for a full refund. That meant so long as no one actually won the toys, everything they made was pure profit that the students got to share. The real trick had been to make the game seem very easy when it was actually excruciatingly hard. The plastic rings were just barely larger than the NS of the empty bottles. While it seemed easy enough, it actually required a great deal of skill. Many boys had already stopped by, determined to win something for the dates, only to walk away with nothing but an empty wallet. The vendor gave Naruto a big smile. Win something for the beautiful lady. You get 5 rings for just 100 yen. Put any of the rings on a bottle and you win your choice of prize. Alright, Naruto opened up Gamakon and dug out a coin. The vendor handed him 5 plastic rings. Good luck. With a bare flick of his wrist he tossed the rings. Clink, 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 clink. The vendor stood there with his jaw open. How the hell did you get all 5? Naruto just shrugged. For someone who could hit a bullseye with a kunai at 20 yards while running, this was literally child's play. I'm a ninja, was how he explained it. Yay. Mocha jumped up and down and applauded. The vendor closed his mouth and reminded himself that handing out one toy was no big deal. What would you like? That one. She eagerly pointed at a cute bright red fox. She then reached over and ran her fingers over her fiancé's cheeks. I just think foxes are too cute. XXXXXXXXXX. The vendor was relieved to see Naruto go and hoped not to see him again for the rest of the festival. So he was rather disconcerted when he showed up 10 minutes later. This time there was a different girl on his arm. She had purple hair and a lollipop in her mouth. Trailing slightly behind the couple was a woman who had to be the girl's mother. This looks interesting, Naruto said. Would you like me to win you something? Mizore nodded. Sure. Naruto looked at the vendor. How do you play? The vendor looked back at him. You're kidding, right? Huh. The vendor let out a sigh. Obviously this guy was some sort of player and didn't want his current girl to know he'd already been by. He really wanted to tell him to go away, but if he refused a customer he would get in trouble. So he played along. You get 5 rings for 100 yen. If you can put a ring on one of the bottles you get your choice of prize. Naruto nodded and produced a coin. The vendor handed him 5 plastic rings. Clink, 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 clink. Amazing, the vendor said dryly. Looking a little embarrassed, Naruto just shrugged. I'm a ninja. Right, the vendor looked at Mizore. Which one would you like? That one, she pointed at a penguin. Naruto turned to look at Mizore's mother. Would you like a souvenir, Surara? Mizore's mother smiled and nodded. That would be lovely, thank you, Naruto. He handed the vendor another coin. 5 more, please. Clink, 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 clink. XXXXXXXXXX. 20 minutes later. Yahoo! Naruto-kun, win me some prizes. Oh come on. The annoyed vendor muttered to himself. He gave Naruto a smile that was not very friendly. You're a popular guy tonight. Naruto grinned and rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, I guess I am. He did have 2 beautiful women with him after all. So how do you play? The vendor sighed. You get 5 rings for 100 yen. If any of the rings land on a bottle you get your choice of prize. Sounds fun. He handed the man a coin and was given 5 plastic rings. Clink, 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 clink. Yahoo! Naruto-kun, you really are the best. I want that big stuffed rabbit. Aja leaned over and whispered in his ear while pressing her BS into his back and sending a shiver down his spine. Will you win something for me too, Naruto-kun? Sure. He got out another coin. Clink, 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 clink. Quite amazing, the vendor said with a lack of enthusiasm. Naruto gave an embarrassed shrug. I'm a ninja. Sarai here. XXXXXXXXXX. An hour later. Clink, 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 clink. All right. An excited Yukari was jumping up and down. She already had 4 stuffed toys in her GS. I'll get the kitty this time. A weary vendor pulled down a stuffed cat and handed it to the girl. All right, Yukari, I think that's enough, her mother said. She had a giant stuffed zebra under her arm. But Mom, I want enough of them to fill my room. Naruto looked over at her mom with an embarrassed grin. After all the misunderstandings, he was eager to try and make a good impression any way he could. I don't mind, I'm happy to get her as many as she wants. The woman nodded a bit frostily. I appreciate that, but there's no need to spoil her too much. And besides, let's leave some for all the other people here. Thank you, the vendor said with real feeling. Naruto looked at him with an embarrassed grin and shrugged. Sorry about all this, I'm a ninja, I know. Once they left, the vendor shut the stand down. He closed it just long enough to make a sign. No ninja allowed. XXXXXXXXXX. The rest of the day passed without major incident for Naruto or his clones. XXXXXXXXXX. Thank you for a wonderful day, Surara said to him. I am very happy to know that my daughter has someone like you to watch out for her. She looked at her daughter. You're right, he's a wonderful person. I like him too. Goodbye daughter, goodbye Naruto. Goodbye mother. Bye, it was really nice meeting you. They watched her go. It was now early evening and the night-time crowd buzzed around them. He looked at Mizore. How'd I do? She smiled up at him shyly. You were the perfect boyfriend. She took her lollipop out of her mouth and gave him a light kiss on his cheek. Thank you. You're welcome Mizore-chan. Well, since your mom is gone now I guess I may as well go too. Do you have to? She asked. Do you mind staying a while longer? I want this night to last as long as possible. He looked at her and smiled. I think I can do that. XXXXXXXXXXX. That was a very nice dinner. Thank you for treating us Naruto, and thank you for your delightful company. Aja told him. It was my pleasure. She turned to her daughter. Kurumu dear, do you mind if I have a private talk with him before I go? Kurumu looked nervous. You're not going to ask him to do anything naughty, are you? She smiled. Not this time, I promise. All right mama, she gave her mom a big hug. Have a safe TS. You take care of yourself dear. She turned to Naruto. Please walk me to my bus. Naruto nodded and accompanied her feeling very nervous. Aja waited until they were well out of earshot before speaking. Succubi had great hearing. You don't actually love her do you? What? No it's alright, Aja assured him. I can tell these things. I can see you honestly care for my daughter, but that the feelings you have for her aren't love. I'm very sorry. I apologize for deceiving you. She laughed. Silly boy, you didn't deceive me and you have nothing to apologize for. You care enough about my daughter to spend the whole day trying to take care of her and me. That alone makes me very happy. And so you know, she knows that what you feel for her isn't love. Aja sighed. You should also know my daughter loves you. I know, she calls me her destined one. Aja stopped and Naruto did as well. Do you know what those words mean? Do you know what it means for a succubus to tell man that he is her destined one? He nodded. It means she wants to be with me. No, it means much more than that. I have seduced hundreds of men. I have made men give up their fortunes and their families just to be with me for a night. Some of them I liked, most I felt nothing for, and some I actively despised. Aja told him. But not one of them mattered to me. They were all just puppets for my amusement. I have loved one man, Kurumu's father, my destined one. For him I would have walked through fire. He SD some years ago. I have loved no other man, and I will love no other man until my day. Humans often mistake love and lust, but we succubi know the difference. We know that to inspire lust is easy, but to inspire true love is perhaps the hardest thing that any woman can try to do. You have created love in my daughter's heart. I ask you to stay with her in hopes that in time she will also create love in yours. That might happen, he answered carefully. But if it doesn't I'm sure she will find someone else to love. You don't understand. Aja shook her head. Do not think because we inspire lust that our hearts are cruel. We are expert at keeping our hearts hidden, but once it is found a succubi's heart is very tender. Each of us will love only one man in our lifetimes. We have a single destined one and no other. You are her destined one Naruto. If you do not choose her she will never love another man, she will never have a family, she will be alone. What? But she's only 16. That's crazy. That is our way. He looked at her angrily. So you're saying that if I don't choose her she's going to end up alone and it'll be my fault? Yes. You can't ask something like that. You can't ask me to fall in love with her just because she chose me. It's not fair. No it's not, Aja said sadly. And it's most unfair to her. I know I am asking a lot, but please just give her time and I know she will win your love eventually. She leaned forward and gave him a kiss on his cheek. I know I will see you again Naruto. I can tell you are a good man and I know you will do the right thing. Naruto stood there and watched her get on her bus. XXXXXXXXXXX. It was almost 10 and he and Mocha were on one of the academy rooftops. Mocha was holding her new toy fox which she had named Naruto, of course. He was standing behind her as they were looking down on the thinning crowd. The first night was winding down. Did you have a good time, Mocha-chan? She sighed happily. Wonderful, it was truly wonderful, Naruto-kun. It was what I always hoped it would be like. Well, I hope the next 2 nights go as well. They both turned around at the sudden crash behind them. A powerful and fierce-looking man stepped out of the broken doorway. There you are. He looked at Mocha and licked his lips. I've been waiting all night to get you alone. He glanced at Naruto. If you want to live, you should run now. Mocha and Naruto both looked at one another, and began to laugh. What's so damn funny? Naruto just shook his head. Do you want to take care of him or should I? You can go ahead, Naruto-kun, but please don't kill him. Hey, this actually works out great. I can show you that magic trick I told you about. The intruder eyed him with disgust and mounting anger. You really think you can deal with me? Naruto simply smiled at him. Want to see something really scary? Suddenly he was surrounded by a powerful demonic aura. As both the intruder and Mocha watched, his body began to change. He grew a couple inches and his muscles seemed to thicken some. His hair grew out a bit and lightened to a platinum blonde. The scars on his cheeks seemed to fade and then disappear. His eyes became red and stared, and a pair of fangs extended out of his mouth. Witnessing this sudden change and feeling the immense power coming from him, the man began to back away. What are you? Naruto moved with incredible speed and hit him with just one punch. It sent him flying clean through the protective fence and off the roof. With that dealt with, he calmly turned back to his girl. The toy fox slipped out of her hands as she stared at him. Naruto-kun, she whispered. You're a vampire, he said happily. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.